In the previous video, you might have seen what are the different types of users within Zoho projects. In this video, I'll show you how to add these users within your project's portal. Now let us see how to add a portal user. To add a portal user, you would have to click on the portal user option given under manage users. Once you click on portal user, at the top right corner of the screen, you'll find an option which says invite user. You can click on invite user here and you can add a user by giving in very simple details starting from user's email ID. Once you've given the user's email ID, you can select if you want to add the user as a portal user or as a read-only user. If you choose the read-only user button, please note the user can only see the data inside your project's portal and they cannot edit any data within the portal. Post which you can select invitation template. Here you can select if you want to proceed with the default invitation template that is sent to the user. If you want, you can also configure or personalize the invitation template that is sent by clicking on the add invitation template option. Next is profile and a role. Once you click on profiles, you'd be able to see there's a list of profiles that you can select from. Same happens for roles too. You need to select a single profile and a role to every user that you try to add within your project's portal. Now we'll see what is a profile and what is a role and why profiles are considered significant when you're trying to add a new user to the portal. Within manage users, you will have a subsection called profiles and roles available here. Now, if you click on profiles, you'd be able to see there are different profiles available by default that comes with the software. We give you 4 different profiles to be precise. You have employee, admin, manager, and a contractor. For each of these profiles, the permissions vary. Now, you might have understood that profile determines what setting the user has access to within the project's portal, along with what data the user has access to within the project's portal. That being the reason, profiles are considered important. On the left hand side, you can see there are multitude of permissions that you can configure for a specific profile. On the right hand side, you can enable or disable each of these permissions for every profile. Once you have configured permissions, you can save these profiles. And the same permission will be applied to every user who is part of the profile. Likewise, we also have client profiles available under the client profile section. If you want to add a client to your portal, you can also associate a client profile to the user. So that is what profile is. Profile determines permission, and it is important that you associate a right profile to the user within the portal. Next, we'll see roles. Roles are very simple to understand as they do not have any kind of technicality associated to them. Roles are just a designation name that you possess within your organization. You might be the CEO or even a CFO of an organization. The role can be created with the help of just a single click. You can do that by simply hovering to the top right corner of the screen. You can click on add role, post which you can create a role just by giving it a name. You can give a name, click on save, and a role is created. It is that easy. Once you have created a role and necessary profiles, you can also associate these profiles and roles to a user that you're planning to add to the portal. Now, once you have filled in all the necessary information, including profiles and roles, you can simply click on invite. As soon as you click on invite, an email invitation would be triggered to the user's email address, and once they accept that, they would be successfully added into the portal, as you can see in my portal right here. The next is client users. Client users are also similar to adding a portal user, but before you add a client user, you need to create something called as a customer first. To add or create a customer, you have to hover just adjacent to the invite client user button. You have a small drop down available here and you can click on add customer. Once you click on add customer, you can create a customer by giving in very simple details starting from name. Required, you can give additional information like address, city, state, etc. Once you have filled in the relevant details, you can click on add and you have successfully created a customer. Once a customer is created, now you can map an individual client user within that specific customer. Customer is nothing but a client company. and an individual client user can be mapped under that specific client company or a customer. Add a client user now. You can click on the invite client user button right here, post which you can fill in very simple details starting from the user's email address. Then you can select, similar to a portal user how we saw previously, you can also configure invitation template here also. Then you have customer name. Here you can select under which customer do you want to map the individual client user. Post which you can also select the client profile as I showed you earlier, and you can click on invite. Once you click on invite, an invitation is triggered, the user accepts the invitation, he would be guided into the portal, and you can also see these are different customers that I have added within my projects portal. If I expand one of my customers here, you'll also be able to see that an individual client user is mapped under the customer. So this is how customer and a client user mapping looks like. Next, I want to show you how to add a team. To add a team, you can click on the Teams option on the left hand side. Once you have done that, you can hover your mouse to the top right and you can click on the Add Team option that you see right here. Once you click on Add Team, system gives you a bunch of fields in which you need to fill in information starting from team name. You can give a team a specific name, post which you need to select users that you want to be part of the specific team. All your internal users will be listed here. You can select multiple of them to be part of the specific team. Once you have added user, you need to select one of them as a team lead. Once you have done that, you can associate a team to a project. If you have already created projects, all your projects would be listed here and you can select multiple of them so that the team can be added to the project. The next is team email alias. You can set an email alias for the team so that any notification that is triggered to the team will be sent to the specific email address. Once you have configured all of these fields, you click on add and your team is created. So that is how to create a team within your projects portal. The next option which I want to show you is how do you add a resource. To add a resource also, you follow a similar set of steps. So I click on resources here and I just hover my mouse at the top right and I click on the add resource option that I see here. Once you click on add resource, system gives me few fields in which I need to fill in information starting from resource name. I'll give a resource a specific name, post which I need to select a category for the resource. If I want, I can create a custom category by clicking on add new category here, give it a name and click on add. Once I've selected a category and a name for the resource, as soon as I click on add, a resource is created and you'd be able to find your resources and the categories they are part of right here. So this is how you add the different types of users within Zoho projects. I hope you found this information useful. See you in the next video. Thank you so much.